Ready? Alright. The pressure crack goes all the way back there. I don't know how you get over there. Yeah, I don't know what to do. I mean, it looks like it goes across the entire lake. Oh, hey, I wonder if these guys know where they're going.
Now they're going left?
Yeah, they're probably doing the same thing we did. Oh, he turned right again. There he goes. I guess we just gotta go over it. Holy crap, what a day already. Finally made it to the trail though. So I kind of wanted to do a topic in this video that's a little different than normal. I wanted to talk about my top 5 favorite sleds of 2019. Obviously there'll be some bias towards newer models, but I'm going to try not to go with anything that I personally own, aka an 850 Assault, and kind of give you guys my opinion on what I think the top 5 sleds that came out this season are. Foxes. So number 5 on my list is going to be the Skidoo 900 Ace Turbo. Really cool to see Skidoo bringing a factory turbo to the table. I think that there's definitely quite the market for it, and I think those will be a sled that can really kind of grow into something. But my big gripes with it are that obviously it being a 150 horsepower sled, it's not really a performance turbo. It's more of a replacement for their old 1200 and not so much like the lake racer competition that I personally would like to see in the 4-stroke turbo market. My other big gripe with it is I think because of that it's going to be kind of like the leftover sled. You're going to see in a couple of years a lot of them sitting on dealer floors. I think that's when they'll really start to make their stride and get a lot of cool performance parts and kind of be a pretty fast and modded out sled. But I think for the first couple seasons especially, as cool as they are, they'll have some growing pains to kind of overcome. If they just groomed this a little bit, it'd be great. Number 4, the Yamaha Sidewinder / SRX. I think that Sidewinder is still part of the name, but my reasons for liking that sled, so I kind of felt like when the Sidewinder came out, it kind of had an identity crisis. I think some of that comes from what Arctic Cat was doing with their old 4-stroke turbo, putting it in RRs and, you know, kind of packages that, although they are cool in concept, don't really make sense for a 4-stroke turbo sled. In so because of that, Yamaha kind of came out with their sled, and it, you know, they had this like bump tackling type 4-stroke turbo that was a lake racer. And as cool as that is, I think slapping the SRX moniker on it and making it the lake racer that can really own a groomed trail is what that sled always needed to be. I love that the all blue color is back. You know, there's so much blue on it, and I think everybody can kind of agree that the SRXs were always a great looking sled, even if, you know, they were the snowmobile equivalent of a lowrider back in the day. But so that's kind of, in my opinion, slightly model oriented, but also just good marketing. To take a sled that really, you know, fulfills what the SRX used to be, and you know, give it that proper name and convention. Number 3 is the Indy XC. Any model configuration. I think it's cool to see the full chassis and skid package kind of come back to Polaris. I know a lot of people bought Assaults that just wanted like the normal look of a sled because they couldn't quite get over the Pro XC rear end. And I think it's cool that, you know, Polaris recognized that fact and brought the 129 out. My only issue with it is, you know, it's cool to see a 129, and I know there was a market for it, and it kind of made it make sense, you know, something in between the 121 and the 137, but for, I feel, a lot of people's preferred length, the 137s these days, the fact that it isn't one, I think, obviously has hurt their sales a bit. So that's why, in my opinion, it's number 3. That could obviously change with riding it. If I'm super impressed by the way the 129 handles and, you know, bridges the bumps and all that, obviously my opinion could change pretty easily, but for now, I like the idea behind it. I think the execution's decent, but I think also it could kind of use an XCR moniker, just a more aggressive package. You know, I think a lot of people bought it kind of expecting it to replace their Pro X or their, or, you know, be at least similar to their XCR, and I think shock and valving wise it's just not there, so people are spending a lot of money to make the sled something that they want. Number 2, I think, is the 2019 Backcountry XRS. Most of the reason I think that sled is cool is just the Backcountry X was good competition for the SKS mostly, and slightly the Polaris Assault, but it just kind of, per the usual, Skidoo dropped the ball on packaging and put a set of shocks on it that could have been better. I'm not saying they're bad for everyone, but I think especially with a sled with a narrow front end that you're going to have to get very physical on to make it handle the trails well, you need some good shocks to kind of like help your body out when you're, you know, fighting it in the corner where it might be lifting a ski and all that. So I think that was something that was always lacking. Do I think the naming convention makes any sense? Pretty much not at all. I don't understand how there's a free ride 137 and a backcountry 146 XRS. Like, just very confusing. And there's still a free ride 146. I get it, you got T-motion versus the C-motion, and other than that the shocks are very similar, you know what I mean? It's just hard to fully understand it, but, you know, I guess the difference in rear skid makes the sled. But that's why that's number 2 in my book. I think the colors were on point. I think the packaging was on point. I think the need was there. I think it was a smart choice bringing it out. But I have to give it number 2 just because in my book I don't know if it really fit. I think slapping it in the middle of the free ride line and having the 137 in the R motion, the 146 in the C motion, and the 154 with the T motion would really kind of give the free ride a lot of variation in all its models and really make each one, you know, very worth it to every buyer. My number 1 pick, as I kind of talked about in a previous video, it's got to go to the Alpha 1. As you guys know, I love my Arctic Cat, but I'm certainly not biased at all towards Arctic Cat. I just got to give it to them for coming out with something that is so different and kind of takes a platform that may have been lacking somewhat because they were running an 800 instead of an 850, and allowed them to just like really get a good footing back in the mountain segment. I think, you know, innovative stuff like a rear end like that, oh god, that was sketchy. Like a rear end like that can really bring cool things down the road for the mountain guys, and shows that they're invested and that they're trying to think up new stuff. And I'm sure there'll be stuff to come down the road for the trail market, and I gotta give kudos to a company, in my opinion, that is still that invested in coming out with something other than just an engine. Snowmobiling in a lot of ways has, switched to the rider forward design. There's been little tweaks here or there. You got all the little rider comforts and the higher up seating position on the axis. You have all of the cool features of the G4 platform, and obviously bringing the first 850 to the market and all that, very cool stuff. And Arctic Cat, they did their refresh, but they haven't done much in the way of new chassis, new gauges, nothing like that lately. So it's nice to see that even though they came out with their an owl. Wow. Even though they came out with their 800C tech, they're still invested in like chassis and sled design. So I think that's really cool, and I got to give it to them where it's at. I think it's really cool that they sell their cross-country race sled as, almost like a normal sled. You can just go to a dealer and buy it. They just do a lot of cool stuff, and I think that they get overshadowed a little bit, especially right now because they don't have an 850 and their chassis has been out for a little while. But it does kind of bring up, though, they must be keeping the Procross around for a decent bit longer, because they did all the work to fit the Alpha 1 rear skid to it. That's not something you're just gonna like put into one sled and then retrofit to another the next year. In my opinion, I could be completely wrong in a month. So whenever anybody asks me, like, what would you say the Assault isn't the best for, these are the trails I think of. Not what we were just going down when I was talking about my top 5, but this right here, woo! This is where I would not want to have an Assault. They are super tight, super windy. On a 121, you can rip them. I wouldn't even want a 137 for this area, so that's really not anything against the Assault. But, yeah, this is just small sled territory. It's only a small portion of the trails, so shouldn't be too bad overall, but ready, Park?
Park is ready.
Good stuff.
At least I know it works, because with some plugs it don't work.
Yeah, that's for sure. You run warm, Park. Just take your pick out here, huh? This is a kitty with a nitro motor. It sounds sick. He's obviously got the exhaust on it. We used a trailer here back in the day. It's like 33 today. I know it might be a bad snowmobiler, but I love that weather. Oh God. I want the snow to stay. I don't want the snow to go anywhere, but I don't need no 10 degrees. Cedar Pine is that way. Redfield is that way.
Cedar Pines?
Yeah.
Want to go that way?
That's like, I know there's a restaurant there. I can't remember a restaurant in Redfield. It looks about the same, but yeah.
How many miles have we done so far?
Oh, I knew it, but I don't know.
It's got to be like 70, 60, 50. So different during the day.
There weren't a lot of people on the trail.
Dude, I know, right? I kept thinking, like, are we going really the wrong way? Yeah.
Because I haven't seen anybody.
Yeah. It's all right. It worked out. You know what's crazy? Like, even if you think about it, even when we bought our 2000s, they were only like 4 years old. They weren't even that old. And they just feel like they were ancient, you know what I mean? Compared to what's around today.
Yeah, I was going to say, what year did I buy the XLT? Because it was what, 97?
Bought that in 2000, yeah.
It was 3 years old.
Yeah.
What a shooter I was.
Shooter McGavin.
Lots of sleds. You really get much more of a variation age-wise in Tug Hill than you do up in Forge. Had lunch at Cedar Pines. It's kind of in the middle of Tug, quite a ways from Old Forge, but one of my subscribers said that he rode here from Forge the other day, so that's cool. Must be one heck of a drive. I think it's 50 miles by car to get here, and trails are obviously not that direct. Got about 67 miles on already, and there's really no like quicker way back, so probably gonna be 135 miles ish, 134. Ooh, Backcountry XRS, I like that. There we go. See, that's what I get for saying there was nothing cool here. I have been throwing the idea around of possibly studying this track. I don't think it's going to affect it too badly off trail, and on trail I just think it would just give me more confidence. I have a lot of respect for people that don't mind like sliding around, but for me I really don't prefer it. You know, when you're going down a hill or you go into a corner a little hot and you're just not confident in the rear of the sled, it's obviously not preferred. And I'm hoping to do a hill drag towards the end of the year. And if I do that, I think, you know, for trying to get the best results, it would probably be good to have studs, but trails have been a lot better so far. The way we came was a lot of like really twisty and windy trails. Not bad, but you really can't get going that fast on them, especially not knowing them. Not worth it in my book.
Alright, what's up, Rap Gang? Had a little issue with the camera batteries toward the end of the ride. I could have swapped them out, but we were pretty close to the end of our ride, so I figured I would just kind of head home and not worry about filming.
I appreciate you guys watching this week. I'm going to be up in Old Forge this weekend, so if you guys see me, come up and say hi. Still have 3 Brap Gang stickers left if anybody wants one. Hope you guys enjoyed the vlog. Let me know down below what top 5 sled you guys would have chosen, and if you agree with me or disagree with me. Always fun to talk to you guys about that stuff, and we'll see you in the next vlog.